Today I was just thinking about God's faithfulness, and He reminded me of something unpleasant that I experienced in 2019 that ended up becoming useful, even to the point of saving someone's life in 2021.
With joy, we draw from the wells of salvation. Open your heart to the stories you hear today. Let them serve as tools to draw health, courage, comfort, graces from the endless supply of the one who gives freely and abundantly. So, grab a friend, grab a snack, and prepare to receive a fresh dose of joy. Welcome to Joyoclock. It's more than just story time.
In 2019, while I was still a house officer rotating through the internal medicine department, I had an experience one day when I was on call and something happened. So, how things worked in that hospital and for that department is that when you're on call as a house officer, you're on call with another house officer, a resident, a senior resident, and a consultant, sometimes two consultants, right? So, whenever there's a case, all these people are supposed to be involved in the management of that patient. What it means to be on call is that normally you would work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then you go home. But when you're on call, you work for 36 hours at a stretch and you continue to work, your regular 8 to 4 after that. The people that must be on ground are the house officers and the residents, at least the junior resident. The senior resident should be close by. So when an emergency comes into the hospital, they'll first go to the accident and emergency, and then the doctor on call in the A&E will do what they can to stabilize the patient. Once they identify what the problem is, know what department that patient is supposed to go to, whether it's surgery or internal medicine, pediatrics, or ONG, they'll call on the house officer. The house officer will then get the information across to their resident. The resident will get it across to the consultant, just like that. So on this day, I was on call with these people. I got a call. When I went there, I was the only house officer, and the doctor told me, okay, I tried to call the other doctor and there was no response. Where is he? Maybe try to call him and he'll get here. Tried to call, there was no response. So I was the only house officer on ground. And my resident also was nowhere to be found. This doctor had gone to his house in town and it would take a while to get down. So I ended up being alone with that patient. As regards my team, the medical officer gave assistance, told me what to do, and then I had to carry out all the instructions to stabilize the patient by myself because the other house officer that was supposed to be with me was not there and my resident also was not there. I was under a lot of pressure. I was scared because this was, a life and death situation. But thankfully, my resident came. The house officer, I think we had even finished with the patient before the house officer came. Fast forward to 2021. I'm working in a place where I'm the only doctor on ground. I was fully ready for work, and this patient was brought in before 8 a.m. and she was unconscious. And my mind just immediately, and I believe that was God, right? Took me back to 2019 to that case that I had to deal with by myself for a long time before the other doctors showed up. Interestingly, that case was a woman. She had diabetes, she was very sick, and then she was unconscious. She was exposed to an infection and it was not treated. So it brought her to that state. And this case in 2021 that I had to handle as the one calling the shots with the nurse that was on ground was that similar. It was also a woman. She was also unconscious. She also had diabetes. The reason for the unconsciousness was also due to infection, although it wasn't exact same thing. But the mode of treatment we used for the woman in 2021 was the same one we used for the woman in 2019. And because I was so involved in that case, it was easy for me to just work, and with the help of God, we were able to resuscitate her. By the end of the day, she was responsive, and by the next day, she was fully conscious. The husband was so grateful. After that experience that she had, she took her health seriously, so she's healthy now, managing her health condition better than she was before that time. So that came to mind, and I was just amazed at how God uses those things that are uncomfortable at the time of experience, Those situations that will be in, I'll be like, why is this happening to me? Why me? Why now? Why this way? I remember that I wasn't happy when I was left on my own to handle that case. I was under a lot of pressure. I was already tired from the day. But see how all of those experiences played out to save a woman's life in 2021. My experiences have taught me that when you're walking with God, you're on a journey to a promised destination. The process to that place is almost as important as the destination itself. So don't despise where you are because you're all about where you want to be. Because if you despise where you are, you disregard the process, you get to that place and you find out that you've missed a lot of things that you were supposed to use as tools for where you're going. An analogy that comes to mind is, imagine someone who is on a journey to a destination and you were given the instruction to pay attention to the road, look at the signs, know where you're going, because when you get to where you're going to have to give directions to people who are going there. And their getting to that place is dependent on how well you're able to give those directions. So imagine if you sleep off while you're on the journey, or you're just so pissed off about how stressful the journey is, how long it's been, and then you miss out on all the details you're supposed to get while you're on that journey. How then will you be able to instruct people on how to get to that place? How then will you be able to help anybody who is on that same journey that you have been on? All the things we experience are like tools. When this happens, you take it, put it in your toolbox, because it will be beneficial, not just only for you, not for your family, sometimes for people that you don't know, people that you may never even get to meet. So it really is important how we respond to the things that happen to us. Nobody can understand what you're going through when you're experiencing these things. It is true. One thing that brings comfort to me is that God says that He will never give us anything more than we can bear. So no matter what we're experiencing, it means that God has put in us the capacity, the grace to be able to go through that fire and come out refined like gold, meaning that He has put in us everything that we need to ensure that we do not get burnt by that situation. So when we really do life from God's perspective, putting His word into practice, keeping His words before us, it doesn't take the pain away. You will experience it, but it helps you bear, it helps you go through it with a better attitude. He did promise that He'll never leave us, He'll never forsake us. So don't let the enemy lie to you that God left the building, left you on your own to deal with what you're going through. That is a lie. Even at those times when it feels like we cannot see Him, we cannot perceive Him, like He's literally not there, He's even closer than we know. So there was a story of a person who was looking through like their journey, and they were looking at footprints on the sands of time, the places that they've passed, and they saw footprints belonging to two people. So he understood that, okay, this was Jesus and this was me. And then he got to a point and he recognized that this point was like one of the hardest points in my life. And he saw only one set of footprints. And he was like, but God, where were you? I was going through this terrible thing by this time. And there's evidence that you left me on my own. And Jesus told him that it was at that point that I carried you. So at those times when it feels like we really cannot do it again, I mean, like, I'm done. I cannot go through this. I cannot go through another day of this. God is close at those times, helping us through it. We're alive, breathing, healthy, regardless of all that we've been through, because God has kept to His promise. If you belong to Him, then you better believe that He's with you like He said He is. He will never leave you like He promised, and He will help you through it like He promised. You will come out on the other side refined like gold that has gone through the fire. And the interesting thing is, you will never look like what you've gone through. Just like when you see gold that has been refined, you have no picture in your mind about what the gold was before it got to that place of being refined. So don't despair, even in this time that looks like all hope is lost, you've lost everything, you're all on your own. Know that God is with you. These are tests, these are times of trials, and remember that out of the mess comes the message, right? Out of the test comes the testimony. So look at it like a student who has been listening to their teacher, they've been paying attention, they've been learning. They will get to that point on their journey where they would have to sit down to take a test. And when that time comes, the teacher will be there in that classroom, but the teacher will not be standing by the student telling the student, oh, this is what I taught you, do it like this, do it like that. No, the teacher will be either sitting on their desk or going around invigilating during the exams. But it doesn't mean the teacher has abandoned the student. No, the teacher equipped the student to be able to do what needs to be done to pass that test. So that's how it is at those times when it seems like we're all on our own. God is really there. And we even have the Holy Spirit. If we are able to listen to Him, we'll find out that He is even giving us clues, pointing out where we should go, what we should do. So, like the story I shared, apart from the doctor who was on call, who saw everything happen, and my roommate at the time, no other person got to know that I was left to be on my own to handle such a serious case. So it's like that when you're going through these things. It seems like you're on your own. Nobody even knows what you're going through. But God knows, God sees. God saw me in that moment and probably was just, I don't know, smiling and saying, girl, you do not know that this is going to save somebody's life in 2021. Do you know all these years I've actually not put these two events together to see how connected they are. It was this morning when I was out taking my morning walk and just meditating on God's faithfulness that He brought that memory of the event of 2019 to mind and then reminded me of 2021, connected them for me to see. And I'm just so full of gratitude that we can have these moments that are like deja vu moments in the now, because some years before we were put in a situation that we did not think we could bear, but God saw us through them and now they are useful in our present and will be of benefit to people, even to the point of saving another person's life. If you belong to Jesus, there's nothing that you're going through that will be a waste. Everything will be used for God's glory and for your good. He said it. He will make everything work together for the good of His people. And He's about keeping His word. God is not man, He will never lie. If He said it, then He will do exactly what He has said. He will exceed our expectations, our thoughts, our desires, our dreams, our imaginations. Okay? So don't despair. God is with you. God is helping you. That painful situation you're going through, no matter how ugly, no matter how unnecessary it seems, it is important for that which God wants to do in and through your life. And many will be blessed by the thing that God births through you from that place of pain. Thank you for sticking around. I believe this has blessed you. Please remember to like, comment, share with someone. You never know how this might be of help to somebody. Till next time, stay blessed and thrive gracefully. Bye.